Our GMA cover story, a parenting alert about a popular video game so many kids are playing.
That's right, Robin. Video games are facing some new scrutiny this morning. President Trump has announced he's meeting with video game executives next week to discuss violent content following the deadly Florida school shooting. This as a new game called Fortnite is drawing millions of players, and some parents are worrying their kids are spending way too much time at the controls. It's the online game that has fans in a frenzy. Fortnite's objective? Players in the game's free Battle Royale version join teams and battle up to 100 others to be the last person standing. The multiplayer melee drawing comparisons to blockbuster franchise The Hunger Games.
I volunteer as tribute.
With millions of users, from kids to even celebrities like Chance the Rapper, Joe Jonas, and Steelers wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster caught up in the craze.
I'm at this party right now, and all I'm thinking about is Fortnite.
Over 40 million people in America play this game, so the crazy part is, chances are you know somebody who's enjoying it.
And with the option for users to buy upgrades and bonus features, the company reportedly raking in big bucks off the game's big buzz.
It wouldn't surprise me if they were making hundreds upon hundreds of thousands on any given day. In fact, maybe even over 1 million.
For some parents, Fortnite's popularity is now a cause for concern.
I mean, I just love this game. It's great.
Amy Selling says her kids are so caught up in the game, she sometimes won't see them for hours after school.
They downloaded it around November, December. Around that time, I guess that's when they slowly started to disappear.
She wrote about her experience in a blog titled, How I Lost My Children to Fortnite. The post garnering big response from other parents across the country.
Everyone's sort of struggling with the same thing. How much time do we let our children actually play this where they're not fighting and they think they've had enough time and I'm not the bad guy?
And it's not only Fortnite. Just this year, in a controversial decision, the World Health Organization officially recognized gaming disorder as a mental health issue. The American Academy of Pediatrics advises parents to place consistent limits on screen time, making sure it doesn't take the place of adequate sleep, physical activity, and other behaviors essential to health. But for worried parents, Fortnite's social aspect may actually have a positive effect.
The beauty of video games is they're moving from being solo experiences to more social experiences that invite people to come together and bond over a shared positive activity.
All right, hey everyone, it's TVC Mario, and you're here for another edition of Parents We Need to Talk About, a video series that I've designed for you, mom and dad, to help you when it comes to figuring out what negative influences could be leading your kids astray. Now, if you haven't seen the previous videos that I've done in this series, I'll leave them linked up in the description section and highly recommend that you check them out. Now, in this video here today, we're going to be talking about, right now, the most popular video game. It's so popular, it's called Fortnite. You may have heard recently there was even a rapper Drake and Twitch streamer Ninja. They did a live stream together and there was over 600,000 people watching them play this video game live, which broke records, and this is a really big thing to the kids. So I want to start off just by explaining that for you, mom and dad. This Fortnite video game, Twitch streaming trend that's taking place right now is huge, and a lot of kids are getting swept up into it. I'm sure there's going to be another trend later on down the road, a new video game, a new something that's going to come and sweep them up and cause the same type of hysteria. But for now, this is the one that's successfully grabbing their attention and consuming their time. So I don't fully agree. I just want to state with the interpretation that we just heard in that news broadcast. Now, I do see that there's a problem when it comes to video game addiction, and I'm going to cover that in this video here today, mom and dad. But I don't think it's Fortnite exclusively that's responsible for the kids having, let's say, negative attitudes, not desiring to put the video game down, etc., or just being really consumed with it. I think it's a much larger problem, and I'm going to share that with you in this video and show you how you can sit your kids down and have them themselves desire to have more than a virtual reality life that so many of the youth today are being consumed by and are losing touch with their true lives and identities. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and let's dive right into it. Now, I don't have too much to say about the game. I mean, Fortnite, it's a multi-level player game. You heard them kind of explain what it is. It's basically a game where you're going to go and kill your opponents. It's very cartoony, so there's not blood and gore and stuff like that. But it's basically a type of Hunger Games scenario where you have to eliminate your opponents, and the last one standing is the victor. So the kids are really getting swept up into that, and that's the game model itself. But the thing that I really get asked a lot, especially by Christians, is it a sin? You know, I get a lot of Christian teenagers, I assume young brothers and sisters who play these video games, who ask me. Well, to those of you, I just want to say in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 23, it says, all things are lawful for me, but all things are not expedient. All things are lawful for me, but all things edify not. And the word edify means they're not all to my benefit. They don't all help me grow. So is it a sin for you to sit there and play an hour of video game, Battle Royale, Fortnite? No, I don't believe so, and I think this scripture lets us know that, but what it also lets us know is it's not going to give you anything in life. So what if you get high scores in a video game, or you get to stream with Drake? There are more amazing things to do in life, and this really just shows the shallowness of our society and just how sad it is that an entire generation is losing themselves in fantasy. You know, this is the real problem. Let me tell you, Mom and Dad, the younger generation, are becoming addicted to technology. I myself had to come to the realization this year that I had started to become a cell phone addict. Do you know that if you are watching this right now, 8 out of 10 of you, 80% are addicted to the cell phone that you're watching this video on, and it is a very real addiction. It's a psychological ailment where you will have a desire subconsciously to always check your Instagram and your Facebook and your notifications constantly. You have an inability to engage in conversations when you're with people in a room because you're so droned into your phone, and you've lost any sense of being a real person. And this is happening to the kids too, so it's not, Mom and Dad, just the video games. Don't call your son or daughter out on this. If you yourself are a cell phone addict, you got to lead by example. You want your kids not to be addicted to technology and to do things productive for themselves where they discover themselves and not a fantasy avatar version of themselves that doesn't benefit them in real life. Well, then lead by example. Start to show them that you yourself are not addicted to technology, and show by example that there are greater things that could be done in our world. You know, I think that this is really the battle, Mom and Dad, that the kids in this generation are going to be facing. I was born in 1985, so I mean, my parents raised me in the 90s and late 80s and early 2000s, and we even saw it starting with my generation. I remember my father would tell me all the time, Mario, why don't you go play outside? It was so shocking for him that I wanted to stay inside and play Super Mario in Nintendo. I did not, like him as a young boy, have as much of a desire to go outside and engage in social activities with my friends, to play baseball and this. I was beginning to become addicted to video games. Now, thank God for me, in high school, I couldn't care less, and I thought video games are for dweebs, and no offense, I for the most part still do. I'm sorry, but if you play more than 1 to 2 hours a day of this stuff, you have an addiction, you've lost yourself in a virtual reality, and I'm sorry, I pity you, because of the fact that there is so much more to life than your virtual addiction. Okay, 1 to 2 hours a day is plenty of playtime. And if you need more playtime to entertain and dull yourself out from your reality and your life, then you live a shallow existence, and there's just no way around it. And I'm sorry to drop the truth hammer on you, and you might dislike this video because you're emotionally triggered by that, but I love you enough to confront you to say you live a shallow life and you fill the void with a virtual reality. But this was starting to happen. My dad would start to notice this, but even more so, the kids today are not engaging in outdoor activities. The real issue here is going to be that previous generations like myself enjoyed the real reality that God had created. You know, we would engage in certain activities like snowboarding, and I would go often, I still do, I snowboard, I go out biking, I go meet my friends for a workout. We do things in the real reality that are fun, exercise, I get fresh air. improves my social skills. Well, the kids of today, they're being brought into the virtual world, and the virtual world is going to seem and be perceived by them as more exciting. It's a place where they can hide their true selves because they don't like to look at their true selves. They much rather, and this is another part of the psychological problem that's occurring here, create another avatar, another self that is a virtual reality. It is much easier for cowards to hide behind such personalities. They can say things they would never say. They can be more courageous, more wild, more whatever, more fake and not even real. But this is the problem that's happening here. The kids want to create virtual avatars for themselves, these characters that they can then inhabit in the virtual world, because these characters that they're inhabiting are going to bring more substance to them than their own lives do, because of the fact that they are not really seeking God, and they're allowing the culture and the world to lead them astray into the brokenness of self that comes from following the world. And so this is really the sad thing that we're seeing manifesting in the culture today. If you haven't seen this movie yet, Mom and Dad, I recommend that you do. Ready Player One is, in my opinion, a prophetic telling of the future. What you see here is what they call the lost generation. And I believe that right now we are witnessing this generation. They're going to be a lost generation that gets caught into the technological matrix, losing a desire to live in real reality because a virtual matrix has been created for them that offers them an opportunity to live a life they can never live in real reality, because they were stolen because that is of Satan, to steal from you the actual contentment and happiness and fulfillment from real reality and the being that God created you to be, and exchange that for this fake avatar world. The lost generation, the technologically addicted little batteries for the coming matrix transhumanist system of the world. And so just being on guard to this, we're going to see a lot of young people losing themselves in this system, thinking that this world is better. And I mean, when you watch MTV and the things of the world and you're told that you don't have a purpose and you weren't created for anything, I mean, no wonder that these things actually will bring some type of fulfillment. But deep down, they will never satisfy and be the true things that God offers. So there you go, everyone. I just wanted to share that, especially Mom and Dad. We needed to sit down and talk about Fortnite. As you can see, it's all over the mainstream news, but I think they got this story a little twisted. It's not just this one video game coming out of nowhere that's causing this. It's a much deeper issue. It has to do with you, first of all, Mom and Dad, as an example. As I said, if you yourself are addicted to video games, if you yourself are not leading an example of doing good, healthy outdoor activity, if you yourself are not helping your kids to find themselves in things that are not virtual and fake, then you are failing. That's first and foremost. And then on top of that, it's important to help children to find their true selves apart from the virtual matrix identities that they can just fabricate out of nothing, and that they truly find who they are and who God created them to be, not who within their own imaginations they fantasize themselves to be in a weird little matrix world of people who are broken, creating avatars to make themselves feel better while they are completely broken inside. So thank you for taking the time. Have yourself a blessed and a wonderful day. Remember, stay vigilant and fear no evil.